parts falling off aircraft, explosions, deaths, injuries, accidents, pieces letting loose, metal shrapnel found in fuel tanks. All these things are avoidable, can easily be prevented if something changes in the market. If money does not come first, second, and third, but quality and safety become the priority, and everyone agrees to that, then flying can become safe again. Many issues will be prevented, losses will be prevented, both financially and of life. Actually, we would live in a much nicer world. But for that, a lot is needed, and I hope that my video will start a discussion, that other people will do the same, and that the industry will get a sense of, hey, maybe we should change something, because this discussion has sparked in many parts of the world, and we really have to change something. Maybe people will start to wake up. That is my goal of this video. Like, subscribe, and share. The sponsor of today's video is intuitive.me. Personal development, personal growth, business efficiency improvement. More about this at the end of the video. Hi. Today is the 1st of January 2022. I wish I could have made a more fun video today, but I really felt to do this one. And fun fact is that I just saw, and I will link in the description to it, a video on IT of the past year. And I feel they're very related because they're basically the same things. Okay, people didn't die, but the kind of failures that happened did happen for the exact same reasons as in the aviation industry. And it's not just about this year. I'm talking about we're now 2 decades into the 21st century. We have around 7 decades of experience with jetliners, with high altitude, with pressurization, developing new technologies, testing them, and so on. We have grown in our experience. We have grown in our technology, in our capabilities of testing, of predicting, and have enough experience to know that in certain cases we need extensive testing to make sure that things are safe. Just like we know that we need to have always at least one backup, but sometimes also a backup for the backup. And here I refer to, for example, the speed sensors on the 737 MAX. How the hell could they in 2018, even 16 or 17, design a system that's only reading from one sensor? Well, you have 2 sensors on the aircraft. That goes against everything we've learned in the past 7 decades. And for me, that is not an error. That is just plain ignorance, not giving a shit. And the people who signed off on this, for me, they could get the death penalty because they're responsible for 346 deaths. One person could make the error forget, but somebody's checking, and then somebody else is checking again, and there's certification. And in this process, several people saw this and nobody bothered to do something about it. And maybe somebody said something about it, but then his bosses didn't bother. And this is just a very simple example. The same applies to engines. On the A320neo, all the issues we had, not with just one engine type, but with 2. How is this possible? That not just before delivery, but even after delivery, there are still issues. Don't we know how to test? Don't we know how to design? Don't we know how to prevent this? Yes, we do. But people are not doing their jobs because money rules. So, hurry, hurry, hurry. Deliver quickly. Deadlines. The same thing for the batteries of the 787. Seriously, catching fire? That could have been prevented so easily, simply by testing. Not just by the supplier also by Boeing, because in the end, when I buy an aircraft, I don't buy from the supplier, I buy from Boeing. And Boeing is telling me, here is a good aircraft. So Boeing is ultimately responsible. Boeing is the one choosing the suppliers. Boeing is the one supposed to vet them. Boeing is using those parts, putting it in its aircraft, and is selling it to me and saying, hey, here's a good aircraft. It's the best aircraft on the market. So Boeing is responsible. Boeing can go and pick a fight with a supplier. That's totally okay. But in the end, Boeing is the one who handed over the keys. I don't think there are really keys for aircraft, but you get it. Because you don't care about which company designed a certain part in your car. You go to the dealer and the dealer tells you, this is a good car. I'm not even talking about you going to the manufacturer, the dealer. So you blame the dealer. You say, hey, dealer, you sold me a car which is not as good as you said. So you will not trust the dealer anymore, and probably the manufacturer. And you will probably never know who was the one who actually built that part that failed. And then we had the engines of 787, but again, engines. And it's not like we developing engines just now, we just started doing that. No, we've been doing that for a century, developing engines. So testing them properly should be possible, right? Taking the time to actually do all the necessary testing. I'm not even talking about quality issues like KLM refusing the delivery of their first 787-10, or the second one because there were so many things wrong with it. There was a banged up job, like people really didn't care or didn't have the time to care, or they just had fired at Boeing the guy who was supposed to inspect the aircraft before it's being delivered. That was postponed by several weeks. And this is not something new. This happened already in the 1980s. I think in 1989, when KLM received the first 747-400, that delivery was postponed by 2 to 3 months for the same reasons. Because things were not as agreed on. And the A330neo, the A330 was a great aircraft. Everyone agrees on that. But the 330neo had issues with the engines again. Then we have, very recently, the A350 with its copper foil. And for those who don't know, I will look up and link in the description a video where somebody explains in detail what the copper foil is for, but in short, it's a protective layer that makes sure that the aircraft is conductive for electricity. So when lightning hits the aircraft, it can go through the aircraft and go down to the earth. If critical parts of the aircraft are not conductive, the energy will build up in there, create a fire, and if that happens to be a fuel tank, kaboom, end of story. And the start of a new, big story. Few hundred deaths, blah, 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 blah. We all know what the tabloids would write. Here also, we're talking about designing something new, which is okay, but then rushing the job. This can only be about rushing the job, because Airbus is not known for making this kind of mistakes. But the A350 was a rush job, because first they thought they could create an A330neo to compete with the 787. And it took them, I don't know how long before finally they decide, okay, clean sheet aircraft. And then they had to hurry up because customers were not willing to wait too long, or they would choose the 787. And so this copper foil is an issue. Is an issue of not having the job done properly, not having tested enough to know what kind of mistakes can be made, so they also know what to look for. And this could result today in having to recall the aircraft and replacing either the entire aircraft or cutting it open. I mean, dismantling the sections that are not good and replacing them with new sections if it's not possible to just reapply the foil. Whatever they're going to do, it's going to cost a lot of time and a lot of money. Plus, they need to change the manufacturing, the part where they apply the foil. Techniques, methods, duration, whatever it's going to be, they need to change that. And I'm not talking about the paint, because I believe that the paint issue is just a result from the foil not sticking properly to the hole. And if the foil is not sticking, then the paint will come off. If the foil is moving, the paint will break. Unless they really have two issues. And I think that the paint is the least of the concerns now for Airbus. But the foil is really an issue. And if they need to recall 400 plus aircraft that I've built, that's going to be a real disaster. I mean, we could be looking at groundings like the 737 MAX until the manufacturing process has been adapted. Because we're talking here about a major safety issue. So, is Airbus going the way Boeing went? Is Airbus gonna have the same consequences? Okay, it's not their main selling aircraft, but still, they have plenty of orders left for this one, and yeah, it's a cash cow. Also with the URL that is coming out for Project Sunrise. Yes, ULR, sorry. So why is all this happening? Because money first. Because shareholders today are not owning companies. Shareholders today are on the stock exchange playing with stocks. And they make money when the value of the stocks is moving. Not only when it's rising, also when it's dropping, because they can play and have these kind of options they can buy. It's basically gambling. So for some people, it doesn't matter if the value goes up or the value goes down. And you can find plenty online on how you can make money when the market crashes or a certain product on the market is crashing. Shareholders just want to make money today, quick money. And they don't care about the well-being of the company, because if one company goes bankrupt, they just move the money to another company and they'll see it coming, the bankruptcy, so they'll pull out in time. And those people who really have the big money, they're almost never the ones losing. It's always the little ones who do not know what's going on, who do not have inside information, who do not have the knowledge to see what's really going on in the market, and they're the ones losing. But the real shareholders, they don't give a shit about the company or the product or its people. That's why Boeing is in such trouble at this moment, because the quality has been under pressure and has been degrading. Safety has been degrading. Employee satisfaction has been degrading, because they try to pay the least possible. They'll even move all the work to other factories in other states because the laws permit them to pay less, or not to have unions representing the employees. And it's all about how can we generate the most profit for the shareholders. And you see this not only in aviation, but you see this everywhere, where profit comes first, second and third, and then quality and safety come fourth and fifth, and employees maybe sixth or don't even come at all on the list, you see how things are degrading. You see issues. In the computer industry, we had power supplies catching fire or exploding, motherboards catching fire, even monitors catching fire. It's insane. It's really insane. So when will things start to change? When will people wake up? When will we stop all this bullshit? Companies should not look at the letter of the law, but should look at what can they do? How can they make the best possible product? And then the buyers should also be looking at how can we buy the best product, not the cheapest. Everyone within the industry should look at quality and safety before price. This includes you and I when booking a ticket. If you want to fly low cost, then we should not expect high quality. That's a simple fact. You cannot keep cutting costs and still keeping safety and quality at the right level. So we, the customers, then the airlines, then the manufacturers and the suppliers, we all should raise our ethical standards. And if the law says you need to have this, and then we discover when producing something like, actually we can make it better. And we say, hey, lawmaker, maybe it's time to change the law because we found a flaw within the law that could still cause this and that and that. So we suggest that the new standard will be here, much higher. And then they show how. And then the lawmakers can say, thank you, and they raise the bar. Not that lawmakers wait till there is an accident and they say, you need to improve something. And then lawyers get involved and it's all about, but we followed the law, so we cannot be sued for people dying. Well, you should be sued, prosecuted, convicted, and your life should be terminated for having killed those people because you are so fucking greedy. Yes, harsh words, and I mean them, and I stand by them. If 5 members of the executive board of Boeing would be condemned to death and executed, I guarantee you things will change in the market. People will not play with other people's lives just for money when they know that it could cost them their own lives. And all the bonuses they got should be taken back. Even if they would have given it already away to family members, it should all be taken away from them and their family members, so that they also know that their loved ones will also have nothing left to live from, if they even care about their loved ones. A mentality change is needed. So I hope that this will spark a discussion amongst enthusiasts and maybe also within the industry. People will start to wake up and say, hey, we really need to change something because it doesn't make sense. All these issues that I've mentioned and many more, they could all have been prevented if not for greed. I promise you the next video will be more fun. I thank you for listening and I wish you a wonderful day and a beautiful year. So, the sponsor of today's video, Intuitive.me. You might say, hey, Intuitive. Yes, you got it. That's my main job. These videos that I'm recording here on aviation, they're just for fun. They're my hobby. They're my passion. And that's what Intuitive.me is about. It's about discovering what you really love to do and start doing it. It's about discovering who you are, finding your inner peace, dealing with those triggers, those things that really piss you off when they happen and you lose control over yourself. It's dealing with things that have been there for a long time, like blockages and trauma. It's finding your ideal partner. It's changing things in your life that you have no clue how to change, but you really want them to change. And as I always say, asking for help is not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of strength and a sign of true smartness. Because the real smart people and the real successful people, they have coaches, they have mentors, yes, plural. So click the link in the description and have a look. If you've watched this far, then probably already resonate with me, so maybe it can help you. Click the link in the description. If you disliked the video, you do this. If you liked it, thumbs up, share and subscribe.